And before we get started, be sure to check out the links in the post below. First up, of course, is Life Points. Take some surveys, earn some points, and then trade those points in for some gift cards, including Twitch, which you can then, subscribe to my channel with for free. Look at that. That's pretty amazing. So check out Life Points. It's a fun place to show your opinions and, get a little scratch on the side. Also, for all of your social media needs, you should check out Social Bee. Social Bee is a social media management tool that enables you to post across all of your profiles: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Google My Business, as well as TikTok. Has many different integrations, such as recycling evergreen posts, connecting to RSS feeds, categorizing your content, as well as integrations of Gifly, Unsplash, and Canva. You will want to check it out. Check out Social Bee. The link is in the post below. Okay, let's get started with this week's podcast of The Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur unindicted co-conspirator number one. Welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting music and talk shows throughout the day, such as my own. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want to engage with you. I want you to be part of the conversation. So find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the Cameo, on the Twitch at Colt S. Taylor. Follow ColtSebastianTaylor.com. And if you are unlucky enough to miss this week's show, you can get to the podcast version of the show at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. All right, my friends, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. But before we get started, my friends, I do have a couple bookkeeping things. I'd like to denote the unfortunate demise of Rizzle, which was a 60-second short video sharing platform that came into its own in January 2020. That was the first time I posted a video for a contest, obviously right before the pandemic. During the pandemic, I was on Rizzle a lot because I wasn't going anywhere else, spending a few hours a night recording videos, arguing with people, making jokes, etc., etc. And I was on there for a solid 2 years, doing lots of videos, had several million views and hundreds of thousands of apparently followers on there. Unfortunately, the app began to have some problems at the beginning of last year. I kind of stopped doing it because I got into some other things, and like I said, it was becoming difficult to upload videos. And I learned this week that they are now no longer going to be in that space. They are converting their business model to be like a content producer, using AI templates to help people put together videos, but they aren't really going to be a place that's going to host videos and have people sort of connect with others. And, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this because, seemed like they're having issues and they're kind of getting away from the quote-unquote real talk type stuff. It's a shame. It's a shame. The owner or CEO, I've had a few conversations with. Very nice lady, Vidya. Hello, Vidya. I certainly understand the pressures of the whole tech world. I'm not going to fault her for making any decisions like that. Unfortunately, apparently all my videos are gone, which is fine. They weren't supposed to be, saved for posterity. I would have liked them not to get erased from the world, but hey, it is what it is. It's hard to, tech can be hard. I might still use Rizzle. I want to see what it becomes or not. I'm very loyal to the brand, but I don't know. I don't make a lot of short videos anymore. What I liked about Rizzle, and I was interviewed by a few people, is that they gave you prompts to talk about. And as much as I enjoy making videos, I don't like, just doing from scratch. Ask me a question, and I will give you I'll give you a take on it, whatnot. Like this show, I look at stories and I give you my take on it. I don't come on here and just rant about things for 40-some minutes. So that's what I really liked about Rizzle. Made some friends on here, and actually Rocks, which I'll be promoting her show later, met her there on the Rizzle, and then I basically, leveraged Rizzle to join you here every week, which, you know what, maybe some of you aren't very happy about that, but hey, that's not Rizzle's fault. That's my fault for having a terrible, grating voice of velvet. But anyways, just want to give a shout out to my friends at Rizzle. Looking forward to what you'll be doing next. But sad to see your original business plan didn't quite work out. So, but we'll always have the memories. And in the other bit of bookkeeping news, I want to give a shout out to my dentist. Yes, that's right, my friends, my dentist. Listen, I do not like going to the dentist. I kind of have a phobia about teeth. I just very squeamish. I had a lot of bad experiences growing up. And in fact, I avoided the dentist for like 10 years until I cracked a tooth. And time to go to the dentist. And I found the best dentist ever. Her name is Dr. Patel. She's in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. PottstownDentist.com. The best dentist there is. I had a lot of anxiety going there for the first time. In fact, I went there and had a broken foot. I was in bad shape in that November. And I've been going there for, I think, almost 10 years now. Almost 10, if not 10. And I'll tell you what, my friends, she takes great care of me. And if you are in the southeast Pennsylvania area, you need to go to Pottstown Family and Cosmetic Dentistry, PottstownDentist.com, located in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Tell Dr. Patel that me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, sent you, because if that gets back to her, she will be tickled and give me a hard time about it and be funny. So she's the best. I will post a link in my podcast version of the show and whatnot, but definitely check her out if you're in Pennsylvania, PottstownDentist.com. She's the best dentist, and she takes good care of me. And I talked to her this weekend, told her about the show. I said, you know what, Dr. Patel? I'm going to plug you on my show. And guess what? I am a redhead of my word. First up, my friends, two big national news stories that I am not going to cover because they've been covered quite a bit on all the news channels. So you have gotten just about every possible opinion that you could on this. But I would be remiss not to touch upon them. The first up was the shooting in Nashville, Tennessee at a school. And, I'm not here to talk about gun control or gun debates or school choice or whatnot. But the thing that I did notice is that as soon as I found out that the person was trans, boy howdy, the right-wing mouth breathers got out all up in arms about making as many transphobic statements as possible, saying there's been a wave of trans violence and whatnot, despite the fact that in showing pictures of 4 trans shooters, of which one isn't, and just did that because he's a sick troll and thought that he'd get a lighter sentence if he identified as being trans. But like 3 people out of almost 200 school shootings is not a pandemic. Is not a pandemic, my friends. All right. The school shooter would not have been prevented if they weren't trans. They had some issues, and guess what? Society failed them. Society failed them, and got the guns legally, and then people died. Okay, so allow me to make this just perfectly clear to anyone listening to this show. If you are a transphobic bigot, just move on out of here. I don't want you to be a listener. You are a terrible person who has a backwards view on life. There is absolutely nothing wrong with trans men, trans women, non-binary people, people who prefer pronouns, things like that. That's fine. That's called society progressing. Allow me to just drop a little bit of historical antidote on you at the moment. You know, like left-handed people who use their left hands. In history, not a lot of people use left hands. There's a very small part of the population, like maybe 1% of the population used their left hands. And then suddenly, in this century, that number increased dramatically. You know, there's like 12 or 15%, like not a majority, but like a significant minority of people use left hands. Wow, what's going on? Is there something in the water? No, because in the past, left-handed was seen as you being wrong or broken or cursed or something like that. So people tried really hard not to use their left hand, despite it feeling more natural, and use their right hand to fit in society so they weren't harassed by everyone else. Guess what? Why wasn't there many like trans people in history? The same stupid reason, you slack-jawed yokels, alright? So as society progresses and matures and becomes more astute, educated, less fearful of the moon eating the sun, guess what? People are a bit more comfortable coming out and feeling and telling people how they feel. So, listen, am I good with pronouns? Absolutely not. I'm old. I am not mentally trained to ask for them or remember them. I'm also terrible with names. I don't know my brother's actual birthday. It's just not programmed in my brain. It's not any one particular person. I have just never bothered to train that part of my head to remember those things. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with this demographic of people. The only thing wrong is your inability to get your head out of your caboose and come forward until 2023 and not be stuck in 1980. If the only thing you know about the transgender community is watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show, brother, you're a little bit misinformed and don't have all the information. That is all I will say about that. Also, another big story, which I will not get into too terribly deeply, former President Donald Trump was indicted this week. The indictment will be unsealed next week by as widely believed to be various tax and business fraud and whatnot. We'll see what happens. I find it interesting that a lot of people are calling this a terrible justice. This is terrible. A lot of people also chanted "lock her up" in 2016, which I find to be interesting. A lot of people also claim to be the party of law and order. Find to be interesting. A lot of these same folks are calling for the jailing of Hillary Clinton and Dr. Fauci and other people to be jailed. They should be jailed. But you know what? An indictment, that can't happen. So, again, allow me to make something perfectly clear. Am I for the arrest of Donald J. Trump, America's most favorite president, according to Donald J. Trump? You know what? If he committed a crime and there's evidence, then yeah. Well, what about Hillary Clinton? Well, if you have evidence of something, then sure. What about Bill Clinton and going to Jeffrey? Listen, if you have evidence that's not an Alex Jones Facebook meme, have at it. I'm okay. Listen, I am okay with anyone of any political party going to jail if you have actual evidence. I'll tell you what, Hunter Biden's laptop, probably not evidence, okay? Probably not evidence. Exchanged a lot of hands. So listen, if you think, why haven't these people been arrested yet? There must be a grand conspiracy. No, there's not a grand conspiracy. You're just uninformed and have some sort of derangement where you don't believe reality. So, simple as that. So anyways, he's going to be arraigned hopefully on Tuesday. We'll see what happens. Governor Ron DeSantis says he will not extradite Trump to New York. So if Trump refuses to leave, then I guess he can stay in Florida. I don't really know how that works, but I think they can go to a federal court and order him to be removed and whatnot. But, yeah, so apparently, I think Ron DeSantis is just doing that to get vote. He's hoping he goes to jail and like, hey, I tried everything, vote for me. I really think that's what he's trying to do. But, anyways, that's all I've got to say about that. I will let the legal pundits get into more whether it's right or wrong. And I also let the court systems handle it because guess what? That's what the court systems do. That's what they do. They figure stuff out. Next up, and staying in Florida, as you may remember, my friends, Governor Ron DeSantis, totally not running for president, but boy, he's visiting a lot of states on quote-unquote a book tour, took on Disney last year, because Florida passed the widely considered Don't Say Gay law. Walt Disney said, yeah, we don't agree with that, and then Ron DeSantis says, well, you know what, we're going to take away your rights that you got from Florida like a half a century ago that built this entire theme park. We're going to go in there and make sure you can't do those things. So basically Disney, up until a few weeks ago, pretty much ran its own business. They had their own special development council that they put their own members on, and then they worked through that to manage their owning, their property and whatnot. So they didn't pay taxes to the state or the county. They pay taxes to themselves and then use that to maintain the roads, the sewers, power lines, police, fire, basically do all the things government does, but they just did it themselves. That was the arrangement. Gave them broad powers to do whatever they want, including having an airport and building a nuclear power plant. Boy, the 50s were crazy. Well, Ron DeSantis, not liking the woke ideology, and woke, according to Republican strategists lately, are whatever he feels. It's more of a feeling than an actual thing. But decided to revoke that power and put together a new board of folks that would handle the stuff in the area, appointed by the governor himself. So, not elected, but appointed by the governor. The party of big government telling businesses what to do. And guess what? The people he appointed, his biggest fundraisers. Totally above the board, right? To be there so that they would be in charge of the area and tell Disney what to do. He was very happy about it. He said, I've slayed the mouse. I've defeated the kingdom. We'll be able to even to influence the type of content that Disney puts out, so they won't be woke or whatever. Boy, I tell you what, people are really upset about The Little Mermaid not being a white girl, apparently. I don't know what's wrong with Florida. So he was very happy about that. However, the board got together this week, and this was, weeks after they officially were disbanded and appointed. And, governing boards don't get together, every single day. It's like, local government get together, a few times a week. Well, apparently the day before they passed a law to dismantle the current board, the previous board, again, manned by Disney employees who were in charge of there, had a public hearing that was published. The public hearing is always to be published. Had a hearing and passed a few things. And then called it quits, and then they were dismantled. These things completely strip this new board of any powers that they might have for the next decades. At least like 30 years. The board entered a 30-year development agreement with Disney that renders them powerless to manage the entertainment giant's future growth in Central Florida. And since they were disbanded and taken over, this new board accepts all the previous agreements. So basically, they are not allowed to use anything with Disney logos or any Disney names. They're not allowed to veto any new buildings. They're not allowed to tell them how to put together their parks. They're not allowed to change any business stuff. They're basically allowed to maintain the stuff that they have now. Needless to say, they weren't happy about it, and they are going to sue Disney and get this voided. I don't think they're going to be able to, because everything was done rather legally. It was done legally, so there's nothing they can do about it. They would have to break the contract with them, which would open them up to like legal jeopardy from Disney, because they would break their agreement with the government. So yeah, so basically Ron DeSantis is now spending taxpayer money to retain lawyers and financial firms that are getting paid $800 an hour to try to review this agreement and then void it in court. According to Taryn Flesky, a DeSantis spokeswoman, called the move last-ditch efforts to transfer rights and authorities from the district to Disney. An initial review suggests these agreements may have significant legal infirmities. They don't. That would render the contracts void as a matter of law. We are pleased the new governor-appointed board retained multiple financial and legal firms to conduct audits and investigate Disney's past behavior. Yes, Disney, a multi-billion-dollar, multinational company, just threw this agreement together without going over every single word through high-powered lawyers. And, I'm sure this agreement will not stand. Ron DeSantis got played. Here's the best part. This agreement is valid until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England, living as of the date of this declaration, if it is deemed to violate rules against perpetuity according to the document. King Charles III's youngest living descendant right now is 2 years old. His mother passed away at like 98, 99. That's going to be a while. The agreement allows Disney to build projects at the highest density and the right to sell or assign the development rights to other district landowners without the board having any say, according to the presentation by the district's new legal counsel. The development bars the board from regulating the height of buildings, which will be solely under the purview of the FAA. They do not need the board's blessing to build new buildings. They agreed to give Disney vast authority over its own buildings. Disney must review any exterior changes to district buildings, that means like company buildings, to ensure the consistent theming of Disney World. So this board cannot make a new building with a theme that's not within the Disney World's purview. It says the spokesman for Disney said Disney will work with the board to correct the agreement in a very collaborative manner. Yeah, okay. Oh, no, this is the guy for the board. Yeah, all right. Board members also approved hiring 4 outside law firms, with Chairman Martin Garcia citing a need for lawyers that have extensive experience in dealing with protracted litigation against Fortune 500 companies. One of those are Cooper & Kirk, who got almost $3 million from Florida to defend its controversial social media law banning cruise ship vaccine passports and restrictions on felons to vote. And Cooper & Smith get paid $7.95 an hour. Wow, look at that. The firm has a roster of lawyers, including Adam Laxart, which roomed with DeSantis when he was training in the Naval Justice School in 2005. Go figure. The firm's alumni include Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, both senators, and so totally will. I'm sure they'll do fine. I'm sure it's not a complete waste of Florida taxpayer monies. Boy howdy, I'm glad I don't live in a sunshine state, because that state is a hot mess. A hot mess, my friends. And boy, howdy. Oh, when I read that, I was, oh boy. I mean, listen, folks, capitalism. You think a tin pot autocrat like Ron DeSantis was going to slay Mickey Mouse? Ho ho! I don't think so. Well, I will follow this because I find it very interesting. More than likely, I think it'll be used for some fundraising emails, but I think Florida's will have to take the L on this one. Next up, my friends, inflation. That's right, inflation. Big thing. People talking about cost of living. Lots of people are blaming Biden for inflation. Most of the people also have no idea how inflation works. But I, as you may remember, my friends, have often said that, yes, prices are up, but gosh, you should really look at the profits of companies. Because, if company profits are way up and so are the prices, that's less inflation. That's just more corporate greed. And boy, howdy, do I have an example. So, you do know that, eggs. Eggs are very expensive. They're more expensive now. For a variety of reasons. Transport costs. There was an avian flu that had caused the culling of millions of hens. But obviously that would limit supply and whatnot. But you were thinking, boy, those egg producers must be being hit pretty hard. Well, no, they haven't. So when you think when you look at egg prices, like, boy, egg prices are so high now. I want you to remember this. The country's top egg producer, Cal-Maine Foods, reported a massive increase in their quarterly profit. So they had a higher profit this quarter compared to previous quarters. How high? How much higher? 20%? 30% higher? 50? 60? 70? 100%? 200%? 500%? No, my friends. A 718% increase in profits. There's your inflation, my friends. There's your inflation. That's right. They pocketed last year, this first quarter, they made $39.5 million in profit. This quarter, $323 million in profit. Gosh. Sherman Miller, the company's president and CEO, called the latest returns a solid performance. I say solid. Solid. That adjective is actually a little soft. Yeah. According to a statement, he said, our results are reflective of a dynamic market environment with higher average selling prices and favorable demand. You don't say. Yeah. So, of course, who pays for this? We do as people. According to the statement, it says, we have worked hard to respond to the challenging operating environment, targeting optimal management of every aspect of our business within our control. Yeah, you don't say. So, my friends, once again, I implore on you, if you're wondering why prices are higher, all you need to do is look at company profits. If prices are up 30% and company profits are up 35%, that's why prices are up. Okay. Now, am I calling for the nationalization of eggs? No, that would be silly. Is there, I don't know, some merit to the concept of a windfall tax? Yeah, I'd say so. Because, these companies, when they're doing bad, gosh, who do they get money from to bail them out? They get it from the government. So, when you make a 718% increase in profit and pass those costs along to the consumers, I'm thinking that maybe you gotta kick in a few more bucks for the potholes. Just saying. So, I find that 718, that is disgusting. Yes, there's lots of pressures, obviously, but you shouldn't apply Uber surge charging to eggs, my friends. You shouldn't. Oh boy, whoa, we are this episode is just flying through. So let's do some promotions here, my friends. So other shows on AWSM Radio, well, I'm gonna smash them together. First up, my friends, it's my friend DC, who unfortunately is in Florida. He's probably the best thing about the state, but he's got 3 shows here on AWSM Radio. On Fridays at 9 p.m., it's DC Live in Effect, where our in-house DJ, DC, mixes it up every Friday night, 9 p.m. You do not want to miss out while he smashes it on the ones and twos, kicking the beats from South Florida every week. Then on Saturdays, it's House Party Saturdays. DC is bringing his freestyling DJing to the max. House Party Saturdays gives you all the Miami vibe without actually having to go to Miami or Florida. From the top clubs and the bars, DC will bring the party to you. That's Saturdays at 10. And then on Fridays, or Sundays at 10 p.m., once again, it's DC Live in Effect. So, just to review, it is DC Live in Effect Fridays at 9. DC House Party Saturdays. That's Saturdays at 10. And then DC Live in Effect Sundays at 10 p.m. Only here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. But he's not the only person that has multiple shows throughout the week. I'm the only one who has 1 show a week. That's how great I am. I'm a commodity. But that doesn't mean these other shows aren't amazing. They're amazing as well. And this next show is also amazing because it's hosted by my friend, Rox. She is our drive time show host, making sure your evening commute home is fun, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some surprises in between. She will make it rock style, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The Rock Sessions, only here on AWSM Radio. So, DC Live in Effect, DC House Party Saturdays, The Rock Sessions, all great shows that you can catch right here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. Next up, my friends, we go to January 6th. Yes, those folks, that's right. The QAnon shaman, I don't know. The guy who wore the headdress and has face painted was carrying a spear with the flag on it, and then went into the Senate, and then did a really loud prayer, and, this may surprise you, but as I think many January 6th folks in jail or being visited by the FBI were surprised, if you go on TV without a mask and say you're going to do, crime, and then go into a building that has a lot of high-quality digital security cameras, and then post on social media that you did said crimes, you're probably going to jail. So he was convicted. He was sentenced to 41 months in jail, but he has been let out of prison. Now, a lot of folks are saying, hey, listen, this is proof that Tucker Carlson was right. They were let into the building. They were escorted by police. Again, my friends, if you honestly believe that, you are an idiot, okay? These aren't patriots. They're fake patriots. They tried to stop the electoral count. They are as anti-American and anti-democratic as they get. And your support for them makes you as terrible as they are. But no, the videos did not show that. The videos were taken out of context. You cannot show 3 minutes of video and ignore 6 hours of riots, okay? He broke in, he trespassed, and he was convicted. He pleaded guilty. But, friends, as do most federal prisoners, due to various laws and overcrowding, they're often let out early for good behavior. And guess what? He was. After 27 months of a 41-month sentence, so more than 50% of his sentence, he was let out. But he was sent to a halfway house. He's not, being a QAnon shaman on the streets, my friends. He's still part of the federal system right now. This is what most federal prisoners do. Very normal for someone to be let out before their sentence is finished, especially if they're a first-time offender, and move through the system to a halfway house. So he's in a halfway house in Arizona, Yeah. So Watkins wrote that he attributes his early release. This is I believe his lawyer. Yeah, I think that's his lawyer. He says, it's appropriate this gentle, intelligent young man, be permitted to move forward to the next stage of his life, what undoubtedly will be a law-abiding and enriching life. So remember, he was walking through Congress illegally, wearing a horn headdress and paint, says that he wants, said the release of Chase Lake to be the function of the U.S. Bureau of Prisons evaluating Mr. Chansley's eligibility for release based on the plea agreement, the sentence imposed, the model behavior of Mr. Chansley while confined, the programs he completed, and a host of factors routinely taken into consideration by the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. Former New York prosecutor Mark Bedrose said that it's common for federal inmates to get their sentences lessened under the First Step Act, which was passed in 2018. Quote, it's relatively common for an eligible offender to have a federal sentence moderately reduced before an offender completes the full term of a prison sentence. Conservative pundits said that he was released because of Tucker Carlson showing exclusive footage that was given to him from the House, showing that the rioters on the whole were peaceful and used that as an example. I also would like to know that he did one show about that, showed a few clips, and despite 40-some thousand hours of footage, can't really find anything else. But, anyways, the QAnon shaman, convicted seditionist, released early, as per the judicial system, we are a land of laws, to a halfway house in Arizona. So, hopefully he can get his act together and stop cosplaying as a revolutionary. We'll see. My friends, if you want updates on sports, look no further than Wednesday nights here on AWSM Radio. First up at 9 p.m., we've got To the Rack with Mac. To the Rack with Mac is your go-to spot for all things basketball. Join NBA expert Mac Daddy as he brings you a full hour of high-flying hoops expertise for all things NBA. Tune in Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. here on AWSM Radio. And then finally, also Wednesdays at 10 p.m., it's What's Going On. What's Going On is our Fox Sports affiliate show, providing listeners with over 150 combined years of sports knowledge. Hosted by Nate Brown and his crew. They are a staple of Western New York sports for the past 2 years. And now, my friends, they're going national. That's Wednesdays at 10 p.m. So, just to review. Wednesdays at 9 p.m., To the Rack with Mac. Wednesdays at 10 p.m., What's Going On? Only here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. We now go to food and science. This week, a startup company made lab-grown meat. It's kind of a new trend where you can grow meat in a lab because of the high demand of meat. That maybe instead of harvesting animals, you can grow this in a lab and then provide meat to people. Well, they decided to make a lab-grown meatball of mammoth meat. Yes, a meatball made of meat from a mammoth. They used the genetic information from a long-extinct mammoth, filled in some holes in the genetic sequence from an African elephant, injected the mammoth genes into a sheep cell, and then grew the meat, and then made a meatball, a big old meatball from mammoth meat. How big is this meatball? About the size of a volleyball. It's a lot of meat. So they wanted to show that they could do it and whatnot. And it's a great publicity stunt and whatnot. They said the mammoth gene was then overexpressed, so it would be more prevalent in the final product than the sheep. And so this is mostly DNA made up of mammoth that was extinct long ago. Although, fun fact, there were still woolly mammoths when they were building the pyramids. There was a small, isolated population on some islands off Alaska they were still kicking. Weren't too many of them. There were a few hundred, but they died out right around then. But technically, the pyramids and woolly mammoths were still a thing at the same time. Anyways, the spokesman, whose name is Timothy Nooksmith. This is Denmark, so I can't say these names right. Said that no one had actually tasted the meat yet. He said, and it doesn't mean you can't eat it, but this protein is literally 4,000 years old. We haven't seen it for a very long time. It means we want to put it through some serious, rigorous testing, like we do any product before we bring it to market. And for this purpose, we wanted to present it to the world faster and not necessarily bring it immediately to market. He's not vouching for the safety of mammoth meat. The startup chose meat from an extinct animal to get people talking, according to the founder. Quote, because with this new technology, it means food that we can have doesn't have to replicate what we've had before. It can be more exciting. It can have better flavor profiles, better nutrition profiles. And we wanted to create something that was totally different from anything you can get now. This is one of many companies in the lab-grown meat market. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration last week cleared cultured chicken cell material made by the Good Meat Company, safe for human consumption. In November, it gave approval for lab-grown chicken made by Upside Foods. Advocates say that lab-grown meat can help cut back on methane emissions and combat, you guessed it, climate change. Cultured meat has been developed for years. The world's first lab-grown burger was eaten in 2013, and the first cell-based chicken nuggets were approved in Singapore in December 2020. A 2022 report of the future food safety, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations noted there's an increase in consumer demand for animal-based products. Quote, the intensification of animal production may contrast with sustainability objectives, resulting in trade-offs in various environmental aspects, food security, and animal welfare. New technology presents a potential alternative, a production of land and aquatic animals without requiring large-scale farming and slaughtering. As of 2021, there are 75 companies around the world working on lab-grown meat products. So, there's no timetable when you can start eating these sort of things, but apparently that is what they're working for. Would I have a mammoth burger if it was thoroughly tested? Yes, I would. I've had a burger made of plants. Why not have a burger made of mammoth? As long as I got sauce and barbecue sauce on, I will get. Finally, my friends, we go to Norway, where authorities have made the country's largest cocaine seizure ever in Norway. 800 kilos, that's 1,760 pounds of drugs were found in boxes of fruit in Oslo in Norway. The drugs were found this week after Norwegian authorities received a tip-off from the Germans after the Germans seized 2,645 pounds of cocaine in Potsdam on Tuesday. Police did not disclose the exact date of that the cocaine was found in Oslo or where the fruit originated from. No arrests have apparently been made. The police spokeswoman said that it was the largest seizure in Norway. She says it's a bit too early to say whether cocaine was intended for Norway or if Norway was being used as a transit point. Quote, we cannot rule out there are larger networks with connections to Norway. The fruit boxes had arrived at a warehouse facility in Bamam, I don't know, a large Norwegian fruit and vegetable wholesaler. According to the company spokesman, said in a statement, the largest previous seizure was 2013 when 337 pounds were found. That's a lot. And in 2013, 319 pounds were hidden in banana boxes. So last one was 337, and this was, let me just go back up and check, 1,760. That is a whole lot more drugs in Norway. So I guess if you see some very fast skiers on the slopes of Norway, they might be sniffing more than snow. might be sniffing more than snow. They might be sniffing some other snow. Get it? Talk about cocaine. So, congratulations, Oslo police, for getting all that cocaine off the Oslo streets. Well, my friends, that just about wraps up this week's Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Remember, it's April 1st, April Fools, so, watch out for people who think they're funny. There's a lot of them out there. But thank you for joining me here today. Remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the Counter Social, on the Cameo, on the Twitch at Colt S. Taylor. I do a weekly online Dungeons & Dragons game on Wednesdays also. You can find all the information at ColtSebastianTaylor.com. And let me know what you're doing. Engage with me. Love to hear from you. And you can catch past episodes at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. All right, my friends. Until next time, I'm Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later. And that concludes this week's podcast of the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Remember, check out the links below. Life points, get paid for surveys, as well as Social B for all of your social media needs. Until next week's podcast, I'm Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.